All right, we're live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we're going to look at a lot of different stuff in our live streams. A lot of news updates that have happened in the space since yesterday. But we're first going to check back on the crypto markets and talk about, something that I think a lot of people are wondering right now, which is, hey, the dump that we've been seeing in the crypto markets, like, is it over? Our price is going to increase from here, or should we expect more of a dump? All right, and what's the probability of that happening? So we're going to look at that. We're going to answer some of your questions and a whole lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step from start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. Last but not least, like nothing I'm saying in this video is designed to be financial advice, and there's lots of scammers down in the comment section below. Like, why would I ever give you my phone number on YouTube or ask you to invest with me? That's absolutely crazy. Never going to do that. Won't DM you on Twitter. Won't do any of that stuff. So beware of the scammers. Anyways, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We've got, let's see here, Culture Highs, Automatic Beats, Code Chap, David Stone, Camille, Lee, Angela, Mo, Eniac, hope I'm saying that right, Roman, Venture. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this. All right. So like I said, we got a lot to discuss today, but first let's talk about the the crypto markets and what's going on here. Okay. So we've seen a lot of red across the board in crypto over the past 7 days. Cryptocurrency prices have taken a pretty big tumble. Okay. Pretty big tumble. It's kind of a relative word, especially in crypto if you've been around for a while. Some people who've been here for a long time have been hardened by the dips and the blow-ups, say, hey, this is nothing. But if you're brand new to crypto, maybe you got in the past couple months or something like that, this may be the first time that you've ever experienced something like this. So let's talk about what typically happens in these situations, okay? So the first ground rule is nobody ever knows what's going to happen next, right, on the short term, right? Long term, my thesis is always intact, that, I have an outlook that markets will continue to increase. That basically we'll see higher cryptocurrency prices over the next several months, generally speaking, right? Nobody knows for sure, but the thesis on my channel has always been about fundamental adoption, and that has not been slowing down, and the cryptocurrency price appreciation has been mirroring that adoption pretty well. Okay, so that's the first ground rule before you consider any other possibility beyond that. So, and the fact that nobody truly knows what's going to happen in the short term, because short term might have bubbles, booms, and busts along the way. All right, so let's look at the current, sort of hiccup that we've had. I'll put it that way. I realize I'm pointing my mouse at something that nobody can see. These things here, this sort of hiccup we've had along the way over the past 7 days. This is a bit of a dump. So is it over? Well, let's talk about this in terms of likelihood, like I was saying a second ago. Nobody, excuse me, sorry, I've got something stuck in my throat here. Truly, nobody knows exactly what's going to happen next. However, you can determine what's likely to happen next, okay? So let's just think about extreme cases here. Is Bitcoin going to crash all the way down to zero? Probably not. That's insanely unlikely. Could it happen? There could be some sort of black swan event that causes Bitcoin to crash to zero, to become completely worthless, and for it to be an absolute fool's errand to buy all the Bitcoin on the blockchain because, let's say, something terrible happened that made Bitcoin just impossible to exist anymore, right? But the likelihood of that is so absolutely remote, it's not even worth considering, okay? So let's take even less severe likelihood. Is Bitcoin going to crash by 85% in the matter of the next week? Probably not. That's insanely atypical of Bitcoin's price motion, especially as it has more decentralized supply, stronger hands, all that type of stuff. If it were to do that, it would likely get bought up really, really quickly. So let's kind of back that up further and further and further. Is Bitcoin going to enter some long-term bear market? Probably not, right? Is Bitcoin going to fall another 10% from here, 15% from here? Now, that's more likely. It could happen, all right? There's nothing that says it can't do that, right? Some people put magic numbers, draw resistance lines on the chart and say this is like a hard and fast rule that the cryptocurrency price can't fall below this because of my advanced technical analysis, but there's nothing that says it can't, right? And if it does, that could prolong the dump. So, now, I think we're probably getting close to the end of what's going on here. And would likely resume an uptrend sooner rather than later. But nobody knows for sure, right? That, to me, that's way more in the likely category, just based on my read that people are hungry for gains, that we would likely see higher price levels in the next several months. And that we're probably close to the end of this dump if we're not there yet. Okay, so that's how I think about it. Again, I'm not really big on calling short-term price movements, just because, like I said, it's all about long-term plays. If I were thinking about this, about buying in, right, it's risky to buy in with everything at this point because it might dump further and you might get a discount. But that's why stuff like dollar cost averaging is always so valuable, is because you don't exactly know what the next price is going to be. But if you buy in increments over time, you can decrease the risk that you're going to miss out on a bigger discount. Now, you might end up buying premium later, but it's risk reward in that case. So that's not financial advice to say that you should be buying right now. I'm just saying that that's how I would personally think about this if I were thinking about buying into this crypto dip, which I personally am not, and that's relevant information for you to know. If you're trying to understand how I'm thinking about this markets. Okay, so that's what I think about this crypto dump. Now, you'll see a lot, if you're brand new to crypto, you'll see a lot of people freaking out, right now, because, it's just kind of what happens when the prices go down. There's a lot of people in crypto who are super paper-handed, you know what I mean, and just freak out anytime the price just goes down at all. But typically, that's when the opportunities present themselves. So let's actually look at the crypto fear and greed index. And then look at some of our other news updates. So we're firmly in the fear category. Okay, and like just a matter of maybe a few weeks ago, we were in the extreme greed category. Okay, last month we were in extreme greed. A week ago we were in greed, and I was sitting here saying like, hey, whenever we enter into extreme greed territory, that's usually when the pendulum swings the opposite way, and that's exactly what happened. Now, I don't think that we see like just insane blood on the streets, wailing and gnashing of teeth type of thing. But if you're brand new, then you might feel that way. But that's really nothing compared to what happened even in recent past. Like, here to here, that was pretty painful. Okay. But still not even as painful as this to this. Okay. This, if you live from this to this, you know what that feels like. Or if you live through this to this, right? And this is, a little less painful, but what we're experiencing right now is like kind of not really that big a deal. Somebody says, "Aren't you the guy seen on CNBC?" Yes. Well, I thank you for noticing. That is me. So yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and switch on to some more updates that have happened in this space since yesterday. But we'll quickly recap. Somebody actually brought to my attention yesterday live on the stream that I was featured, air quotes, on CNBC. So anyways, CNBC did a piece on universities add blockchain courses amid crypto boom. And they kind of did a couple of shots of, online educational resources saying, hey, because, universities are slow to adopt a lot of this stuff. People are turning towards online education, which has been great for, you all. This is a team win, in my opinion. And so they flashed like some educational resources, and my thumbnails come up a couple times in that video. So now we're officially as seen on CNBC, and that's thanks to you all. Okay, so yesterday we also talked about we talked a lot about DAOs, okay, decentralized autonomous organizations, how these are becoming more and more of a use case for blockchain technology. Okay, so. We're just scratching the surface on what we can do with blockchain. In terms of our use cases, if you want to talk, I talk so much about fundamental adoption on this channel, as it cruises to cryptocurrency prices. At the end of the day, the technology to me is what's really the most important, because it solves everything, right? Like it solves the adoption of blockchain technology that actually helps cryptocurrency prices. It helps you all learn these skills because, technical skills and technical expertise is what's most valuable in this entire industry. That's got the most upside potential because you can have that edge to buy crypto. You have that edge to change your career, gain those skills, actually work in the blockchain industry, build your own project, whatever, right? That's why I focus so much on the tech on this channel. That's how I can help people the most. And in terms of understanding the use cases, like we've seen so many things come down the pike, right? Like one of the major use cases was DeFi. When we see these trends kind of pop up here and there, DeFi, NFTs. We see Lots of different things. And now there's lots of different things that are starting to see smaller use cases pop up. And DAOs are definitely one of those that haven't really kind of exploded in the mainstream, but until now, in my opinion. Okay. So yesterday we talked about the Constitution DAO. Okay. So basically somebody formed a decentralized autonomous organization to try to buy the Constitution at Sotheby's auction. So it's one of the original copies. I believe it's one of the original copies. Somebody can fact check me on that if they want to. Of the U.S. Constitution, and the very least a very early copy, put it that way. It was being auctioned off, and people formed a decentralized autonomous organization basically to pool their funds to acquire this asset, and then that asset can actually be owned by the DAO. So we talked about how use cases for DAOs are starting to pop up, like to basically govern treasuries, to coordinate capital. People need to vote on how funds are spent. And this is one new example of how we could do that. Is you could do it to acquire, really expensive assets that maybe individuals may not want to hold in themselves. We see that with like trusts, right? You see that with other types of things. And we're actually starting to see how DAOs could be recognized as legal entities to do things like own physical property, right? So we did have a bit of an upset yesterday, okay, with the Constitution DAO, because we didn't win. Okay. So crypto investors who raised $47 million to buy a copy of the Constitution lost their bid. Here's where the money goes now. So a consortium of crypto investors pulled together $47 million worth of Ether. Yeah, Ether right there in CNBC. So yeah, we're really hitting CNBC hard. We got our channel on there. Now they're talking about Ether in a week to try to save a rare first edition copy. So it is first edition copy of the U.S. Constitution at Sotheby's auction and lost. So the group known as Constitution DAO wrote in its frequently asked questions what the funds would be redeemable plus transaction fees so you can get your money back. So for those who didn't want to redeem funds, the DAO will decide how to repurpose the remaining funds. Okay. So, this was a little bit of upset. A lot of people were watching this live, sort of like the Super Bowl, like for crypto. Like, hey, what's going to happen? Pretty exciting event. Now, even though we didn't win, okay, this is a major milestone for crypto. I mean, this piece is in CNBC. It's in, let's just look here. Hold on. I just Googled Constitution DAO when I was looking this morning. It's in The Verge and CNBC. It's in New York Times, on CNN, it's on Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, almost every major media outlet, right? Like print media outlet. So this is a critical moment for DAOs. Okay, we haven't seen this kind of press coverage. This is sort of like an NFT moment for DAOs, where people, NFTs have taken a lot of the public conversation, way more than like DeFi has, and this is kind of like that for DAOs. Now, I don't necessarily know that means it's going to be as big, and that we're going to see as big of a wave come out after this, but this is a big moment. Now, you're going to have a lot of people who try to front run this and try to buy cryptos related to DAOs, because now you have this ripple shockwave go through mainstream media, and that's going to capture a lot of people's attention. They're going to try to find more about DAOs, and if you front run that opportunity, a lot of people trying to buy DAO tokens, to ride that wave. I'm not saying you should do that, but that's probably what's going to happen. So anyways, we had a little bit of upset with the Constitution DAO. I don't think this is going to be the last time that we see a stunt like this from DAO. This is more than a stunt, but it's a feat. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, how do you make a name for yourself? How you get a lot of people's attention by doing something extraordinary? I don't mean it's like, let's say a stunt that makes like cheapen it, right? I don't think it's just a stunt. It's an extraordinary feat that gets attention and calls more people into crypto, which I think is a good thing. Which wallet has lowest gas fee? Gas fees technically don't have anything to do with the wallet. The caveat to that is your wallet may suggest improper fees based on what you should actually pay. But MetaMask does a pretty good job. Did I get my money from CNBC? I haven't received any funds from CNBC. Okay, so we are seeing. So another reason that it's important for we're seeing stuff like DAOs and all this types of pop up, become more of a mainstream thing, more crypto adoption. Talking about this all relates back to cryptocurrency prices. It's just more and more talk about crypto. We're seeing, we're seeing stuff in Congress about people get together, say, hey, how should we view crypto? More politicians talk about it. I mean, if you connect the dots, this all looks like a trend of crypto just eating the world, really in multiple ways. People use that as like an exaggeration, but it's really not. I mean, it's furiously taking over the mainstream bit by bit. Okay, we're talking about a technology that's getting adopted at a rate twice as fast as the internet was in 1998 at the same number of users. Okay, and you can actually connect the dots to see how that is true in the world. Okay, these stories come up in major media news outlets. If you're new to crypto, that's not normal. That did not happen, a year and a half ago, right? It did not happen 2-3 years ago. You might have seen media talk about it whenever Bitcoin, smashed a new all-time high or something, but that's not just what they're talking about. They're talking about DAOs buying stuff. They're talking about NFTs taking off. And right now, we're seeing more and more politicians talk about crypto. So this story came up this morning. Some people are like, let's just listen to it. Hold on. Turn the volume up here.
Rise of artificial intelligence is going to threaten nation states, going to threaten multinational corporations. And then one more area that I hope nation states start paying greater attention to is the rise of cryptocurrency. Because what looks like a very interesting and somewhat exotic effort to literally mine new coins in order to trade with them has the potential for undermining currencies, for undermining the role of the dollar as the reserve currency, for destabilizing nations, perhaps starting with small ones, but going much larger. Rise of artificial intelligence is going to threaten.
All right, so basically we're seeing, a clip here, definitely played out of bigger context of what they're talking about. But there is a mention of crypto here. That doesn't mind just like the technologies that have threats to, governments in some way, right? And, artificial intelligence is talked about here. Crypto is talked about here. But the really important thing is how it's framed. Is crypto is a threat. Okay, I haven't watched the entire thing, so there may be other parts in the Bloomberg New Economy Forum where they talk about benefits of crypto. But at least the clip that's circulating around online right now is definitely framed as crypto bad. Okay, so there's one perspective that all publicity is good publicity, whether it's good or bad, because it draws attention back to the thing itself. But there's definitely a strong thread of resistance in the political realm that does not like crypto, and that's definitely something to keep in perspective. But by the same token, we wouldn't be talking about this type of thing a year and a half ago, just like I was saying before. So if you're new to crypto, it's not normal. This is not just par for the course. This is an example of a technology adoption super cycle. Whether crypto prices enter into a super cycle in and of themselves, but I'm becoming more and more convinced of a technology adoption super cycle, because there's really no reason for that to slow down anytime soon. I can't think of a reason. I can think of reasons for crypto prices to dump. Like if crypto prices tripled right now, like tomorrow, like in a matter of a couple weeks, crypto markets are reflexive. We're probably going to dump hard for a while. But there's no reason for adoption of crypto technology to really stop or slow down. And there's only reasons for it to speed up, in my opinion. Somebody says, tell her to buy some stable coins. Okay, let's see if we got any other questions in the chat here. Somebody says 55K over the weekend, surely. Maybe. Recommendations for possible future airdrops. I don't have any clear, insider information on any of that stuff. And if I did, I mean, that'd be kind of like, kind of sketchy, insider trading. But anyways, the easiest way to position yourself for an airdrop is just use stuff. The playbook for these retroactive airdrops is that they're, like I said, retroactive, and that they are for early adopters. Because what happens is basically, so everybody's like new and does not know what we're talking about here. We've had several applications over the past year and a half, airdrop tokens to early users. So we've seen this Uniswap, 1inch Exchange, Ethereum name service most recently, Paraswap, I think is the other one. There's been lots of others. We see it with DYDX. Anyways, so the whole point is these apps have moved towards DAOs, like we talked about earlier. So you have a blockchain application out there that's powered by smart contracts that's created by really a centralized team, but the whole process is to create something that's more centralized in the beginning so that you can get it working, and then shift towards decentralization over time, where the decisions that are made primarily about how the protocol works and the funds that are associated with the protocol can be governed by a decentralized autonomous organization or a DAO, that's controlled by smart contracts. And so basically, you need a cryptocurrency in order to let people vote on decisions for that DAO. Okay, so how do you distribute that cryptocurrency? Well, you do it through an airdrop, a retroactive airdrop for people who have used the early users of the protocol, because that's who you want governing the protocol. People who actually have skin in the game, who have used your app and have said okay, these are the most likely people that are going to add value to governing the thing itself. So we've seen lots of airdrops on this channel. We've seen, I've talked about a lot of this stuff, almost everything that's had an airdrop over the past year and a half. I've made videos about, and if you just use the things after doing that videos, lots of people have received airdrops $10,000 plus just from using those apps. Okay, so how do you position yourself for that? That's what this person's asking. So nobody knows exactly who's going to airdrop a token next. I think we're going to see the frequency of this increase probably over time because people are saying it's such an effective playbook. Okay. Now, basically, the strategy is to just use a lot of stuff, and then you're kind of buying lottery tickets, and eventually you're probably going to find somebody who doesn't airdrop that you benefit from in some way. Now, who could potentially be some likely candidates, in my opinion? We've talked about this some. I think OpenSea could be one, okay, because they're seeing lots of pressure from other companies that want to come in and create NFT platforms. And one way that you could potentially secure a moat in that way is to create a strong decentralized community. And tokens are a good way for creating strong decentralized communities. So OpenSea could be one. Yeah, that's definitely just a simple suggestion. So if you never bought or sold an NFT on OpenSea, maybe that's, an easy way to position yourself for an airdrop. Because you can also do something retro. You can also do something that's dual purpose. If you buy an NFT that you think is undervalued on OpenSea, even if they don't end up airdropping a token and that NFT appreciates in price, then at least you got some benefit from it. You know what I mean? Now, I realize buying NFTs can be super expensive on OpenSea because the gas fees are high and the NFTs are often expensive. But it's sort of you kind of have to, make some bets in order to make some gains. Somebody else says MetaMask. I've talked about that as well. MetaMask could be one. We even saw Joseph Lubin from Consensus hint at this on Twitter and some Twitter threads. I don't know how MetaMask would do a retroactive airdrop, whether it be through if you had to use their DEX or if you made a transaction with the MetaMask wallet. I don't know how they would track that because it's not supposed to be tied to the addresses. but they may have some sort of analytics, but it wouldn't be a decentralized snapshot necessarily. So, speaking of consensus, we did see a story in Forbes from Consensus raise another $200 million at $3.2 billion valuation. So that's healthy. It's pretty good size. Somebody says Solo's airdrop is the future. This is December 24th. The snapshot takes place. I don't know what that is. Contrary to what you might think, I do not know about every single cryptocurrency. There's so many. Okay. See if we got any other questions in the chat here. So what is DeFi 2.0? I think it's kind of a marketing word. What are my favorite long-term projects? ETH, definitely. Is ETH going to explode? I could see that. One thing I was also looking at earlier were a couple other metrics. Let's just see here. One of them is the ETH BTC ratio. So basically, this is the ratio of the Ethereum price to the Bitcoin price. And as you see this chart going upward over time, basically it means that Ethereum is more valuable relative to Bitcoin. So you can buy, more Bitcoin with the same amount of ETH. Okay, which I'll said another way means that if this is trending upwards, then it means Ethereum is, outperforming, Bitcoin. So it also has relevance to the market caps because at a certain level, Ethereum could flip Bitcoin and actually become the number one cryptocurrency by market cap. People ask me all the time, is this going to happen? When's it going to happen? So we truly don't know if or when it would happen. I think it stands to reason that's very possible. So like I was saying at the beginning of this live stream, almost everything in crypto is about possibilities, right? Let's just take some random coin. Is Tezos going to flip Bitcoin? Probably not going to happen, right? Is Ethereum going to flip Bitcoin? It really might, okay? And why is that? It's because of the adoption that I'm talking about. It's more you can do with Ether. You can stake it. You can use it in DeFi. You can pay for transactions, buy NFTs. What can you do with Bitcoin? You can buy it, send it around. That's about it. Hold it in a wallet. Now, it's got a narrative as an inflation hedge. You can use it as a store of value. It's all good stuff, but you can also do that with ETH, especially whenever, now that EIP 1559 is live and whenever ETH 2.0 merge happens and ETH becomes deflationary, it's going to be a better store of value, right? And there's a lot more you can do with it. Program it, stake it, use it in DeFi. So for all those reasons, that would have fundamental reasons that why ETH can gain a stronger network effect and outpace the increase in price of Bitcoin, the adoption of Bitcoin, and flip it. Become the number one cryptocurrency by market cap here. So that doesn't mean that it would necessarily be permanent. The first time it happens, everything in crypto is very volatile. Stuff changes really fast. So if it flips it once, it might unflip it, okay, and then take a while before it actually, flips it and stays number one for a long time. If that were to happen, that's how I would see that playing out. Somebody says they're going to flip it this cycle. It's like, well, there's a couple of assumptions there, is that we are in a cycle, and that we're going to have a long bear market like we did last time. We may not. We may be in a super cycle, right? I'm entertaining that possibility, right? And watching this play out over time. So the reason I do that is you have to, when you don't know what the future looks like, you have to try to, make bets on what it's going to look like based on really strong reasons. And then as you sort of have to have, it's like playing a game of chess. It's like, well, if this happens, because there's always unknowns, and you sort of have to see a binary tree or like a fork in the road of like, well, here's a couple of likely scenarios, right? And if this happens, then that means this is probably going to happen. This means this is probably going to happen, which means this is going to happen. If this happens, that means this is going to happen. I know that's kind of vague, but what do I mean by that? So it's like, well, I'm watching the crypto markets, and if we just see a gradual rise with 20% corrections, and the prices just are kind of gradually increasing, and the next 6 months, what if we're just, what if we're just a double from where we are now, 6 months from now, generally speaking, and we've only seen the gradual blowups on the way? That looks a lot more like a super cycle than some sort of insane crypto rally that's gonna, go into a multi-year bear market, right? Now, if the price of crypto triples in the next 6 months and it doubles, in a matter of 3 weeks to 4 weeks, like it has in the past with other major cycle blow-off tops, that means you're probably going to go into some long-term bear market. So that's what I mean by you have to think about, you don't know what the future's going to look like, and as stuff comes down the road, you see here's a fork in the road, here's left, here's right. If we go left, this is probably what's going to happen. If we go right, this is probably what's going to happen. So how is that relevant to the ETH to BTC thing that I was talking about earlier? Well, crypto is volatile, like I was saying. But if we see some sort of gradual rise in price, then we could see the Ether sort of adoption occur to the price itself and just sort of gradually strangle it out and actually assume that place in a slow upward grind. So it's very possible. Nobody knows for sure. Somebody says this super cycle will generate 6 trillion. I'm calling it. Well, if we're talking about super cycle, 6 trillion's too low. Like a super cycle is trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Like people are expecting, like lots of people who are calling for, traditional crypto boom and bust cycles with parabolic blow off tops, like the peaks being around $10 trillion. And right now, crypto is at 2.7. When I talk about these trillions, I'm talking about the total market cap. So if you go to coingogo.com, you look at total market cap, 2.7 trillion. Like basically, if we're in a, parabolic cycle like people think, then the blow off top, then they're thinking that, the space is going to go up, generally speaking, 4x from here. But if we're in a super cycle, like we're going to get to 4x a lot slower and then, just go past it slower. Face of the dog worth more than Ford Motor Company. Yeah, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction in crypto. All right, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. There will be these videos out so that more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fast at this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you how to become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. Okay, you don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching.